President Zelensky and the mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, has warned people in the capital to prepare for a worst-case scenario where power and water could be lost entirely.
Do you assume the possibility of a complete blackout in Kyiv when the city will be without light, heat, water, and communication?
We
are doing everything to prevent this from happening, but let's be honest, our enemies are doing everything to ensure that the city is without heat, electricity, and water supply and, in general, that we all die. This is their task. And the future of the country and our future with you, each of us, depends on how well we will be prepared for different situations and how well we can withstand them. Therefore, you need to be ready. We do not rule out such a possibility, blackout. We calculate various scenarios to withstand and prepare.
The mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, there. Well, for more on this, let's speak to Arise chief correspondent John Cookson, who is monitoring developments from London. Good to see you, John. So Russia turning its sights on Ukraine's critical infrastructure, the Ukrainian military managing to stop some of the missiles and drones from getting through. But that new report suggesting Ukraine is now running low on air defense weapons. Tell us more about that.
Charles, yes, good to see you. It's getting grim for the Ukrainians at the moment with that warning of a complete blackout for Kiev. What wasn't mentioned in that interview, Charles, was that if that happens, then the Zelensky regime has to think about evacuating people from Kiev because, you can't exist there without electricity to power homes, offices, sewage systems, and frankly, they're facing the possibility of an evacuation, Charles, of Kiev if there is a total blackout, because they simply can't keep up with the repairs to damage carried out by these swarms of drones, many of which have been supplied by Iran, bought off the shelf, as it were, by the Russians. And there is that report from the USC group in London saying that Ukraine is running short on weaponry, and there's been no reaction either way from Ukraine to comment on that. But this war has been going on now for 8 months, and certainly the amount of ammunition and military hardware that's needed every day to fight this constant battle with the Russians, that they probably are running low, but they're not admitting it at the present time.
And John, of course, Russia is also using up its stockpile, but it appears to be getting new weapons from Iran. I wonder how long Ukraine can keep up its defense, and is the West willing and able to keep helping?
That's a great question, Charles. And look, as far as Europe is concerned, the money seems to be there. Zelensky reporting that he's been speaking to Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Council, who she promised 18 billion euros a year to Ukraine, which is certainly going to help. But the relationship with America is not so strong. Americans have pledged so far $16 billion worth of military aid to the Ukrainians. But there's a testy relationship at the moment between Zelensky and Biden. Biden saying to Zelensky in a phone call last week, there's no blank check here. We can't keep on stumping up the money for this war. And of course, if the polls are correct, and the Democrats lose the House and the Senate and retain only the White House, then the Zelensky regime may well find that American funding might dry up altogether because the Republicans aren't especially keen on this protracted war that's going on in Eastern Europe. So a very delicate time for the Ukrainians, and it comes, of course, with this renewed effort by Russia, this war on the cities being carried out at the moment.
And I mean, staying with that theme of the war on the cities, John, from the Russian point of view, I mean, they think it's very effective, don't they, to target those power plants because they think it'll hit the morale of the wider Ukrainian population.
That's absolutely right, and we've discussed this, have we not, in previous weeks, Charles, that this is a new policy brought in by the new head of the military, General Sorokin, appointed recently by Putin, and he has no qualms at all about bombing civilian areas. We saw that in Syria, where he was in charge there, and also during the Second Chechen War on the capital of Chechnya. He has this policy. It seems to be working. It seems to be grinding down, not the spirit of the Ukrainian people, Charles, at the present time, but the infrastructure. Now, the directors very kindly put up a map of the south of Ukraine, where the next big battle is expected to be over Kherson city. The area red etched in darkest red is territory controlled by the Russians. The area north of Kherson city, etched in pink, is where fighting is going on at the moment, and north of that is Ukrainian territory and the town of the city of Mykolaiv. Now, I understand it's purely from sources on social media, that the 10th of November has been suggested as a date when this big battle will take place, something some generals are calling a decisive battle, where the Ukrainians try to retake Kherson city. And if they do that, then routing the Russians there will be a major victory for the Ukrainians, who will then see it as a gateway to the Crimea and beyond. So this big battle looming over Kherson city in the coming days.
Okay, John, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson talking to me there about the latest developments from Ukraine.